Today can be the turning point in your life by making a simple decision.
Fundamental questions of navigation. Where am I? Where am I going? And how do I get there from here?
I invite the leaders of our planet to ask themselves these three questions before they make any crucial decisions.
But if you don't make decisions, you're going to stay right where you are.
We are all map makers.
We are in a time of transition.
If we're going to change, we have to change the direction that we're going.
Our planet needs leaders who know where they want to go.
When we change the direction we're going, then we want to make sure we're going in the right direction.
Leaders who can see the big picture.
Because if we're not, we're going to either go backwards or we're going to stay where we are.
Recognizing the psychological and the spiritual shifts and changes that need to be made, often from the inside to the outside.
To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change your paradigm.
Complex journeys require navigation. The path to the truth is one such journey. This is your GPS. Hairstyling services provided by J.D. Edwards Salon and Spa, Palmdale Shopping Plaza, Madera Street. Accessories provided by Chevette Williamson Jewelry. Standout jewelry for standout women.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. I am your host, Michelle Malcolm, and as always, it's a pleasure to be in your company today. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon. So before we dive into what we're talking about today, let me just go ahead and throw out the ways that you can get in on the conversation once it does begin. The telephone numbers to call are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 242-801-0271. That's 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. We're also streaming live on the Global 99.5 FM YouTube channel. And we are coming to you on Cable Bahamas, channel 974. You can also download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. And last but not least, welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio, whether here in Providence, Grand Bahama, the rest of the family islands, and throughout the rest of the world. I'm going to go ahead and mute the microphone of our guest today because it's getting no background noise from him, and so until he's ready to speak, he can go ahead and unmute himself. Okay, so just to bring you up to speed today, we were originally supposed to have a representative from the Office of the Prime Minister, the Director of Communications, Latrae Rahming, from 2 to 3 p.m. To talk about the government's legislative agenda. But then a short while ago, he informed me that he was called into a 2 o'clock meeting. So he's asked if he could come on from 3 to 4 instead. So I said, yes, we can make that happen. So that now means that, when you're sitting in this seat of talk shows, you got to be flexible. You got to be able to adjust quickly. Because what I originally intended to do was to sort of split the show in half, although the two halves were related in terms of the topic. So the first half, we were going to be talking about the legislative agenda. And now that we have had for us identified who the leader of government business would be in the House, in the person of Wayne Monroe, to replace the late Obie Welchcomb, what that would mean in terms of the government's legislative agenda and how that would shape up. Well, I have to adjust. Our first guest cannot make it for 2 o'clock. So I'm flipping my original plan, and what was supposed to be part two is now going to become part one, and then I'm going to have to swing it back to tie it all in with our original guest for part one. So, C. Allen Johnson, I'd like to welcome you back to GPS.
Thank you once
you
again
gotta,
for having me, Michelle.
you got to be flexible when you're sitting in this seat. You can't be so rigid that you lose your mind when things don't go as planned. Because speaking of losing your mind, today is World Mental Health Day. And I'd like to take this opportunity to encourage everyone to make sure you're taking care of your mental health. That is extremely important that you do so, especially living in this Bahamas. Because, sometimes you really got to believe that people trying to drag you crazy. But it behooves one to make sure that you are taking very good care of your mental health in this town. So, happy World Mental Health Day. Let's make sure we're all taking good care of ourselves, whether it be physical health, emotional health, mental health. Let's make sure we're taking good care of ourselves. Okay, so see, Alan, we had to switch things around. Originally, I wanted to hear from Latrae first, so he could break down for us, because people like you and others were saying that you wasn't impressed with this legislative agenda, and so I figure, what, let's give the office of the Prime Minister an opportunity to make their case uninterrupted, because I know how you go. So, so I was going to have Latrae on by himself for the first hour. And then, he told me he could only give me that 1 hour. And then I was going to bring you on, and then we were going to talk about what he said and talk about the way forward as it relates to not just the legislative agenda, but what I suspect after Thursday will be an all-out battle race to see who will, in fact, be running in the West End and Bimini constituency in the by-election that is to come. So let's begin there, because I want to reserve comment for the legislative agenda specifics for when Latrae is actually here. And I just want to say to our audience that I've been trying to get, I can talk all your business now, Latrae, in case you're listening over one air. I've been trying to get this man on my show from that time. I was starting to think he had something personal against me, because he just never would be available. So when I reached out to him and he said, yes, I nearly fall out. I was like, this Michelle Malcolm, you're talking to you. Because I was so used to him not making himself available to be on my show. So when he finally said he would do it, I thought, wow, this is a great opportunity, not just for me to sit down and talk with him, but for you, our audience, to get to speak to him directly through your questions as to the way forward as it relates to the government's legislative agenda. So hopefully the meeting that he was called into won't run on too long, and hopefully he will be able to join us at 2 o'clock at 3 o'clock, as he said he would. All right, so that being put behind us, Seattle, let's dive into this conversation. Jeffrey Clark, so he better be talking sense, or
Hopefully get somebody taking notes. Because when I come, I come.
I hear that. All right, so let's begin now talking about the way forward as it relates to Grand Bahama and West End. Now, I was reluctant to have this conversation before Obi's memorial service. His official funeral service is scheduled for Thursday.
Yes.
And even though the government has said, the administration, the Davis administration has said that they won't discuss who could possibly be running on the PLP ticket in West End and Bimini, there are clearly some folks who didn't get that memo.
True.
Because there's talks now, plenty talks about, I'm hearing the name Shane Gibson. I'm seeing commentary back and forth about the people and who they want, and don't send us nobody who we don't want. And some saying we ain't want no backbencher. We want somebody with experience who could step right into cabinet, because after all, the late Minister Wilshcombe was a cabinet minister. And so, on the other hand, the party is saying, we ain't looking at nobody who formerly served. We're looking at people who were being considered for this election. So the two of them don't come together. They like oil and water. They don't mix. So who gonna win this, what already seems to be a little tug of war? Because on the one hand, I'm hearing some people saying, y'all better send us who we want y'all to send us. And they are intimating that that person is Shane Gibson. On the other hand, from what I've heard of the party so far, they are saying that we ain't looking to go outside those who are already being considered for a nod in this past election. That's who we can choose from. So as someone sitting on the ground, Sea Island, in Grand Bahama, when you see all this back and forth going on, and keeping in mind the history of Shane Gibson as it relates to the allegations that were made and the whole court case and all that stuff, what are your thoughts? Do you think that it would be a mistake not to send Shane Gibson? Or do you think it would be a mistake to send Shane Gibson? And why? That sounds like a pageant question now. We don't just want to know what you think. We want to know why. What are your thoughts on this, yeah?
My relationship with Shane Gibson goes back to when I first returned home before the twin hurricanes of the Bahamas. For those who don't know, I would suggest they go and watch the Anna Nicole funeral. And the two black persons in that funeral was the bodyguard and myself. And my relationship with the Anna Nicole saga is very intimate in regards to that. Personally, now this is a personal opinion, I think they should send Shane so that they could lose the seat. And we could have
you ain't easy. This World Mental Health thing, man, why are you trying to give people mental challenges today?
Listen to me, man. I'm from West End, you know. I'm from, for people in West End who knows, they know I'm from Crazy Corner. It wasn't until later that we understood what Crazy Corner meant. Now, let me explain you something. Please. Everybody at the Crazy Corner was practically on the honor roll and about the 4.0 grade average. So we didn't know we were so smart, they thought we were crazy. So that's where the word crazy. See, so I know we had one. So now we may have had one or two people who actually was too smart and went crazy. But
wow.
So I grew up in West End. I grew up in West End on facing the seawall and growing up, and people who know that Elisha and Bristol was my Eleanor Elisha and Bristol were my uncles that I grew up in the house there in West End. So for people who should know, I'm from West End. There's three for the whole West Grand Bahama, though. There's three type of connection. We have natives, right? And that includes descendants of TCI, believe it or not, driftwoods, and seaweed.
Now, what's the difference between driftwood and seaweed? Explain that, please.
Seaweed is those that come in with the tide and be taken out by the tide. driftwood is those who embed themselves in the soil and the dirt, and natives is the one who is naturally here. Remember, you see driftwood, that the wood, that wetted wood that is bedded in the shore and they can't move and the tree fell down. Driftwood. You embed yourself. So I'm considered, for some, driftwood, for some, a native. And the reason I say that is that, in spite of Shane Gibson's belief that his wife has ties to West Grand Bahama, there is a culture of who they would choose to represent, them. And so the person has to have ties direct to West Grand Bahama, as well. There has to be an understanding of the political makeup concerning the Turks Island defenders, because you have to understand the Turks Islanders played an integral role in the development of Grand Bahama. For a lot of people don't know, many of the first millionaire businesses on Grand Bahama is from the Turks Island. They came when we were just a what do you call it, with the wood, with the what they do the mining wood, or what was it, where they cutting down the pine forest. That's up from Pine Ridge. So a lot of Turks Islanders, many people from West Grand Bahama have their heritage tied into the Turks Islander type environment. So there's a lot of dynamics that plays, and beyond Shane Gibson's wife, Shane Gibson doesn't have any institutional ties. Now,
So it's
I can
his
tell
wife
you,
that does have ties. His wife does have ties.
yes, she
Okay.
does, from West Grand
Okay.
Bahama. And so what happens, though, is that West Grand Bahama, I think the letter and some information going around makes an important point that Grand Bahama needs a voice. Okay. Now, I have adopted to the fact that we already had Obadiah Wilshcombe, a senior member of cabinet, and nothing happened for the 2 years that he was there. And you listen to the voice notes and listen to Podkick and others, and they basically says that he didn't do anything. And the question then becomes, why did he do anything? In spite of it going on to 20 years being in that particular area, no institutional thing. So I know the Progressive Liberal Party, and for some people, was that I'd say from my party, philosophically from my party, but these guys are not PLBs. Their belief and their practice, they'll say the school that has been billing for 12 years, the government department, the government building that's billing for 12 years. But technically, institutionally, nothing has happened for West End since the twin hurricanes that has passed. I think we need a strong advocate. And for me, sending an opposition force into the House of Assembly from West End will not allow individuals to, to fit into the status quo. And they would have 3 years to prove themselves as advocacy, as opposed to somebody just joining the Progressive Liberal Party and doing what the PLP has managed to do for the last 2 years. Plenty talk, little action, plenty marketing, and little purpose. Grand Bahama is in a dire strait, very bad. I mean, it is hurting. We need clarification on a strategy for Grand Bahama so that we can bring pressure on the Grand Bahama Port Authority to begin to act towards developing their strategy built on a national strategy. We need to have a voice. And so for me, West Grand Bahama should consider having someone to stand and fight for them on a consistent basis, as opposed to somebody who will meld into the status quo. The Progressive Liberal Party has sufficient people on their bench. One more will not make a difference. To them losing one would not make a difference. If they want to do something, they would do it. So that the story I'm sure they will come with of saying, oh, we need a person there to do for you is absolute garbage. Members of parliament don't do for people. It is government strategy. It is government policy that actually builds communities. Because if you come into the West Grand Bahama and build people will build those communities. And so I believe that we should have an opposition force in West Grand Bahama. So what I do is that would allow us to actually have no government seats on Grand Bahama if we give them West End.
All right, we have a call on the line. Let's go to the caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good day, Michelle. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
All right. And good afternoon. CL and JT, you're calling in.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious about one thing. is there anybody from the Western and Bimini constituency who currently live in that constituency who the people themselves would want to represent them in Parliament? Do you know of any such person right now, C. Allen?
Yeah, I know at least 5 or 6 individuals that is historically from West Grand Bahama. But how do you say who the people would want until an election actually happens? So this
Yeah,
concept,
a primary election. A primary
no,
election.
that still doesn't determine who people want. That determines who the party wants.
No. You miss. C. Allen, with all due respect, hear me carefully on this one.
We don't have primary election, JP. We have an election.
No. When I say primary, I'm not talking about the party putting people forth. I am talking about a primary election wherein the constituents choose among themselves who they want, and then they have a primary election to determine which of those few people that the constituents put forward that they would elect to represent them under that party banner. That's what I'm talking about.
We don't have that form of governance in the Bahamas, JT.
I think it's time we get it.
No, then you have to. That's what I'm saying to you. That's a constitutional change if you want that.
Yeah, that is true.
No, that's what I'm saying to you. So I want to deal with what is as opposed to what could be. And see, you're saying that you can have a primary against who? You can have a pre-election with PLPs running on one ticket and FNMs running on another ticket, and then they'll come up and face on. That is a republic form of government, right?
That's that's the American system.
We don't have it. We don't have it. So let's not even pretend. The party chooses.
Okay. So based on what we have right now, C. Allen, because what we have right now, I dare say, needs to be improved upon, and I dare say we need to have constituency primaries, as I just indicated, included. But the realities being what they are, if you right now were to choose somebody from your constituency, and I'm talking about you as an individual, not as a political pundit, for example, if you, the Joe Q public, was to choose somebody, would you rather the person you choose, or would you rather the person that the party chooses to run for you? I just wanted to know your face value response to that particular question. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
You know, that's a bunch of what ifs, right? Because essentially we have a system. I like to live in the system we live in, and we have a process. The political parties also have a constitutional process for which they can choose and they can modify the way they wish. But the way our system works is the party presents someone based on their systems of selection, and we then choose who we want from amongst them based on the decision. There's some good people and some bad people that is offering themselves on both sides, on multiple sides, because it's not just the PLP and the FNM. It's other political parties that's going to be offering themselves an independence in this particular venue. And so, you know, I know most of the people personally on both sides of the aisles, on the independent parties as well as the other third parties. And so it is in my judgment call. If I was voting in that district, my choice would be in the box. But after the choices is made, then you can ask me who I would support of the 4 or 5 or whatever choices there is. But I can tell you right off the beginning, I don't think that the Progressive Liberal Party needs to sit in that seat. And the reason for that is I believe that what we need a Grand Bahama agenda. And giving the Progressive Liberal Party's position, they will not bring it to us. If they had something for us, you know, I would hate to believe they had something for us right now, and they have refused to give it to us for the last 2 years. And so I want personally, as a Grand Bahamian, I need a strong advocate, not just in the House of Assembly, but in the public sphere, that would begin to make an argument for what is it that we need on Grand Bahama. And I believe an opposition force will actually bring that, because they will be able, working with individuals such as myself and others who will also be pointing the way forward, would force Grand Bahama to have a focus as opposed to someone who will toe the line. Now, and it's very important for a piece you said, Michelle, is that for all of the people that is offering right now, with the exception of Shane Gibson, you have to be very concerned about a minister on the first run. You know, I know people talk about the 5th seat we have in Grand Bahama, and that's not a minister. Just read the Gazette, and the minister for Grand Bahama is nothing. It's less than a parliamentary secretary. It's a title of minister, but look at the responsibilities, and they have no power. In fact, the office of the Prime Minister runs Grand Bahama, and the Minister for Grand Bahama just happens to be in that office, is the one who attends these so-called meetings, liaison with the Port Authority, liaison with government ministries, supervise the airport, supervise or interact with the hotel. These are not ministerial posts to basically impact and change direction. However, the office of the Prime Minister sits here in Grand Bahama, and people often confuse and compound the two of them as one, and they are two different operations. And
we have a call on the line, C. Allen. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, Michelle and T. Allen.
Good afternoon.
Yes, T. Allen, I heard you made a comment just now about the PLP. You wouldn't support the PLP getting that seat or whatever in the by-election. And based on your arguments, some of your arguments, the premise is that it's nothing because of the performance, right, over there. Nothing has happened or whatever have you. However, if you use that premise in reference to the PLP, that same premise needs to be given on with the FNM. It should be a third party or an independent, going based on your argument. And the examples that you gave should be the one to try and get that seat. Because of the simple fact that you based an argument or a judgment on 2.5 or 2 years, right?
Yes.
When you have persons you had at one point, you had 5 FNM representatives. A person from the FNM representing Grand Bahama.
Okay.
And where is Grand Bahama today? What can you say? But hold on to say that they have achieved in reference to relations with the Port Authority and relations to any type of things being done in Grand Bahama. And so the condition that Grand Bahama is in, and because you live there, it's an accumulation of many, many years. My father is buried in Grand Bahama, in Hawksville.
But Pat, don't hang up. Can I address that thing?
Yeah, keep in mind when you're answering that we have another call on hold. But
right.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying to you is that I judged the first 2 years of the previous administration for Grand Bahama, and I judged in the first 2 years of this administration. I judge on leadership. If you want to go on leadership of Grand Bahama, the most catastrophic period of governance on Grand Bahama in the last 20 years, or from 27, almost 20 plus years, has been under the Progressive Liberal Party, and based on the decisions they have made. But I'm looking at leadership. Would we had?
I understand your point, but I disagree.
No, but I'm saying to you, we had for 4.5 years. Let's see. Forget the party. I'm saying you had 2 years of governance, and then you had Dorian, and then you had COVID. Okay, so I look based on that. Now what I look at leadership. So leadership moves the crowd. You had Perry Garza and Christie. We gave him a second chance. We got 2.0 of the same, which is more of the same of the 1.0. You had Hubert Ingram came in 2007 to 2012, who tried to reboot utilizing the 20th century ideology that he brought in, except that he came in the 21st century. And so you had these two leaderships, Perry Garza and Christie and Hubert Ingram, who was locked into the 20th century concepts. I don't blame them. But now we had an opportunity of a guy that came in. In fact, the Free National Movement, if you read their manifesto of 2012 or 2017, they ran on a PLP platform. And that's why the PLP got the daylights beat out of them.
No. See, you said that that they ran on the FNM ran on the PLP platform.
On a PLP ideology, philosophy.
Right. Still, they were still the party or whatever, the government.
No, I'm explaining to you why the PLP got devastated.
Yeah, but no. You see, we have to take individuals. We have to take responsibilities across the board.
No, but responsibility. Pat, I'm saying to you is
okay.
No, Pat, listen to me 1 second. Let me finish my point, Pat.
I didn't say anything. I want to ask Michelle. Can I call back because I don't want to have the caller meeting.
Yes.
I don't have this continuous discussion.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay.
But Michelle, just let me finish this point I was making to her. What you had in 2017 was a philosophy borrowed from a group of PLPs that the Free National that Hubert Minnis ran on. The problem is that when you're not rooted in the philosophy of the PLP, it is hard to execute that philosophy. You can win with it, but you were not able to implement it in the environment for which that you were left with. And that is where the first 2 years, you had a person that came in with promising of all these digital this, digital whatever. So what I'm saying is that you had Hubert Minnis that borrowed ideas and couldn't execute them. And so we whitewash his ideology. We whitewash everything literally until this time when Brave Davis literally came back in with the promise of a bridge to the future re-engaged. If you look at what was happening to the bridge to the future, and this is the bridge to the future re-engaged, and he promised to be different. He promised to be the driving point of the 50th year to move us into the economic revolution. The tools are there. It's just not being utilized.
Let's go to the phone lines. Hopefully we didn't lose that caller. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yeah, good afternoon, Celia.
Hi, how you doing?
All right. So this Ciala was saying that the Grand Bahama should have 5 oppositions, but did we see the F&M with 5 seats in Grand Bahama in the last administration? They were in government, and still the only voice, basically, to me, was speaking out strongly for the people was Michael Pine, and the party was in power in Parliament laughing at him.
You're making my point. You're making my point for me. You're making my point for me. By having an opposition in place, somebody in opposition in place, you're making my point that then the voice of the behemoth will be listened to. This time, hopefully, we would listen to the competency of a voice in opposition that's saying, remember now, we must understand how governance is. You are in opposition, you are government in waiting, not opposition as we believe it should be. Government in waiting puts together and makes the argument for the people. Michael Pine did that. That's my exact point. You're making my point for me. By having an opposition forces, we will not be sitting silent in Grand Bahama. So what happens is now it actually puts a big burden, let's say the Free National Movement. The Free National Movement is the official opposition. It puts a huge burden on the Free National Movement that you now have the 5 seats because I don't count Ginger's seat in opposition. Okay? So you now have the 5 seats. As a new leader that is from Grand Bahama, Michael Pintard is considered a Grand Bahamian, embedded, very personalized information between him and his family, understanding the mechanics of Grand Bahama. And if you want to
now I get it. You're saying that it would be different for the F&M because the leader, Pintard, is from Grand Bahama.
And he would now be forced to say, this, remember now, every government since 2002 said that Grand Bahama is the linchpin of the new Bahamas. So here's a guy that looking to be the next prime minister and most likely will be. Then we get to test him for the next 3 years. So we get to judge him. His judgment day will be in 2026 because he will have no excuse to say he didn't have to force, because we will want to hear if the recovery for the Bahamas is coming from Grand Bahama. They have 2 things. The government would have to perform for Grand Bahama, or the opposition would have to put a viable, executable plan coming from that leadership. Because Grand Bahama, and I challenge economists around the Bahamas, show us a rebuilding of the Bahamian economy without Grand Bahama. So here it is that you're looking for a new government coming in. So I want a competition now. I want the F&M to present their ideas for Grand Bahama, and I want the PLP to prove themselves for the next 3 years for Grand Bahama. And
don't forget now. Don't forget now. Don't forget.
I get what you're saying, but my concern is the deputy prime minister in the last administration, after he would have been ousted from getting a nomination, then goes to Parliament saying he hoped his party could have done this and done that, and I'm scratching my head saying, but you in power, what you mean? Get it done. So I think strong voices to really.
Beautiful point you make. This is why we now know from the fight that was occurring in the background between KP the Turnquest, Hubert Minnis, and all his party. Remember, we started badly, We started badly with a fight in the F&M for leadership. And we never had leadership in the FNM for the 4.5 years they were there. What we had was
There's always a fight for leadership. There's rumor that Pindad you talking about might make it past election.
No, but see, that's what I'm saying to you. But until then, right, this is not a fight as when you are government. No, listen to me a second. There's a fight for becoming government, to be leader, and there's a fight to maintain your leadership as government. Because when your people begin, you have to now emasculate the very people you need to build you. That's a different fight than fighting to become the leader of the country. So I'm saying is that if Pintard doesn't survive, I didn't say Pintard has to prove himself. I said I'm hoping that he as a leader would then strengthen himself, because then now it'd be almost impossible to move. But the FNM, regardless of his leadership, will have to sell us for the next 3 years, not no manifesto, because we're gonna have to make some hard choices in this country in this 50th Moody's anniversary as to what's now, what's new, and what's next. We've been doing the same crazy thing over and over, expecting different results. And this is why it's important when Latrae comes on.
Couldn't both parties sit down with residents in Grand Bahama like yourself, come up with a plan, and it doesn't matter who is the leader, once the party is government, work the plan?
It is, no, the residents have to make that for government. And this is why I'm saying to you, by having the 5 seats or 4.5, whatever you want to call it, on Grand Bahama, the Port Authority has a position. The FNM has already, see, I'm taking this in analysis. The FNM has already taken a position that we need to have a conversation with the people on Grand Bahama. On the Hawkesbury Creek Agreement concerning the licenses, the government would represent all the people in the Bahamas. That is in the Grand Bahamians' interest. Bahamians own that. All Bahamians own whatever that part of the trustee for that agreement and the Grand Bahama Port Authority. Well, we already heard the opposition, the leader of opposition calling for that type of conversation. And we've heard the government saying, no, we got a big stick and we'll beat them into the ground. And we're saying, but what about us, the people? We're not having a conversation with us. And so I'm saying to you is that when the government gets the message that we are not satisfied for the last 2 years, not going back on Terry Christian and Minutes and everything else. We're saying, Mr. Brave Davis, you have been driving this vehicle, and we are not satisfied with the level of attention you've paid to us. And so what we're saying is, let's add another voice that's echo. Because with all respect, if you really look at it, technically, every now and then we have an interjection from the member of parliament from East Grand Bahama to defend the position of the previous. We have Mr. Pintard, which is almost singularly from Grand Bahama, is speaking to the future. We have Aram Lewis that is somewhat neutral, lukewarm, you know what God said about lukewarm. And so essentially I'm saying is I need a second voice who will support the leader of opposition, more so for the most populist. Understand, West Grand Bahama, not Grand Bahama, West Grand Bahama is the second largest populous place in the Bahamas. And so they need a voice, not someone to align with a political party at this time who's saying, I'm going to be quiet. More so that you're going in, all of the offerings that's offering, they're going in as junior members, neophytes.
Okay, guys, I have to take a break, but I want to throw something in right here. Y'all talking like they're the only 2 parties but could be contending for this seat.
I don't think it would make sense to me, Michelle, that in my opinion.
I consider, as of today, the only 2 options, because again, I said to the other callers, let's not make believe.
What are y'all saying?
Alan is saying it's the opposition who's going to argue and negotiate on behalf of West End and Bimini. Not just
But you want Grand Bahama. We want a voice for Grand Bahama, and if they don't represent our voice, guess what we can do in 3 years? The seat will be the PLP owned, because we will punish them.
Y'all ain't tired of this merry-go-round?
That's why we are to the point right now that this is why my advocacy is, we are about to flip the conversation. And if I wasn't on air, I'd tell you what we're about to make Michael Pintard. Michael Pintard is about to become the voice of Grand Bahama, whether he likes it or not. Okay? Not his opinion, what we want. And that's where we are moving to. And so I'm sure a lot of Grand Bahamians feel the same way. And so I know the PLP is going to come with this one for Obi. And understand this. We understand. Nobody on Grand Bahama knows Obi like us Grand Bahamians. If you know what I mean.
Don't forget now. Don't forget now. We got to take a break, caller. Don't forget now. it ain't only West and in this conversation that has to be considered. You got Bimini as well.
Absolutely.
You can't ignore them.
Right, but let me say what happens is Bimini, when you understand the strategy, you come out of Bimini with a certain amount of votes there. Bimini is fixed and Bimini is happy. But Grand Bahama has always made the determination of the elections for West Grand Bahama. And so the numbers, this is a numbers game. We support Bimini. Bimini is growing, but you know what Bimini needs? Bimini needs a voice in the House of Assembly, not bragging about what has already been done, the prostitution of Biminites and insertion of people. Biminites need a conversation of ownership now. Okay? Insertion and ownership, not jobs, just over broke suckers in the just over broke system. And so I'm saying is that we must now change the conversation. Mr. Philip Brave Davis has 32 of the seats. 31 seats will not make a difference to bring his agenda about. And I'm simply saying is that I don't think we should reward the Progressive Liberal Party for subpar performance, having complete total governance and dominance, and because they came into governance with from a subpar leader, they should have been shining. Except they're now living in an automatic process that came from a subpar leadership. And I can already say, if Minnis is the replacement for Pintad, it doesn't worry about it. The PLP doesn't matter because they'll have another 5 years, because we're not going back to what we've had again with Minnis. So if the FNM wants an opportunity, this Grand Bahama is the opportunity to use this as a platform to speak to the economic opportunities for ownership of the Bahamian economy coming through Grand Bahama. Hubert Ingram said it in 2002. Perry Christie said in 2002. They both repeated in 2007. They both repeated in 2012. Minnis said it in 2017, along with Perry Gascon Christie again, and Brave Davis repeated the same. So here it is for 20-something years. You got everybody saying there will be no economic development without Grand Bahama. No rebuilding, no rebooting of the economy. Then why isn't Grand Bahama front and center?
Okay, we got to take a break. I am 13 minutes past my break time, and I know my producer is pulling out his ear right now. So let me go to this break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. For those of you who tuned in late, we were supposed to have Latrae Rahming from the Office of the Prime Minister on for the first half of our show, but he indicated that he got called into a meeting. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he will be able to join us for the second half of the show to defend the government's legislative agenda. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. Stay with us.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 Hyperimmune Egg Powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
To stay healthy, it's crucial to make sure you get the nutrition you need every day. But it's difficult to get all your recommended vitamins and minerals from food alone. Even in the United States, 94% of people are deficient in at least one nutrient. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 by Longevity is a simple, convenient, and affordable way to help your body get the essential nutrients it needs. It's an advanced plant-driven multivitamin mineral complex that contains certified organic whole foods, trace minerals, and antioxidants. BTT 2.0 supports your body's natural defense system with a proprietary blend of energy-boosting and body-loving nutrients, plus prebiotics, probiotics, amino acids, and enzymes that support digestion. With an unusually high ORAC score of 8,000, you get even more antioxidants to help combat free radicals that can cause damage to your cells. But to get the most benefit and value from any multivitamin, your body must be able to break down the nutrients so you can fully absorb them. Otherwise, they'll just pass through your system without doing any good. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 was specially formulated with synergizing cofactors to ensure you get maximum nutrient absorption. Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0 is the easiest way to give your body the balance and complete daily vitamin mineral supplement it needs for optimal support of your overall health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This portion of GPS is brought to you by Tiki Bikini Hut at Junkanoo Beach. Great food, cool tropical drinks, and family fun in the sun.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. And we are talking at this time to C. Alan Johnson. Hopefully we'll be joined at 3 p.m. by Latrae Rahming from the Office of the Prime Minister. So here is the way that you can become a part of this conversation. The telephone numbers are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271. That's area code 242-801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Please like and share the show if you haven't already done so. Also streaming live on YouTube on the Global 99.5 FM page, because I'm still in YouTube jail on the Michelle Malcolm channel. And you can also catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974, or you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. And a huge welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio. So I have with me in studio C. Alan Johnson. For those of you who tuned in late, let me explain what's happening here. Originally, I know the notification that I sent out for the show said we would have Latrae Rahming on as a guest, and that was the original plan. He was supposed to be on from 2 to 3 p.m., but he advised me shortly before we went to air that he could not make it for 2 o'clock anymore because he was called into a meeting, and so we are hopeful that he will be joining us at 3 p.m. from our. The original plan was for Latrae to come on to defend the government's, the Davis administration's legislative agenda. And then in the second half, we were going to bring C. Alan on to talk about what Latrae would have presented, as well as that agenda now that we have a new leader of government business in the House in the person of Wayne Monroe, who is replacing the late Obie Wilshcombe in that regard. As you would be aware, Obie Wilshcombe was the government's, the person who led government business in the House of Assembly. But now that he has gone on, that person to replace him in that capacity has been named as Wayne Monroe. So what does that mean? as it relates to the administration, the government's legislative agenda. Also, even though the late minister, has not been buried as yet, his funeral is on Thursday of this week. We had been told that there wouldn't be any discussion with regard to by-election, who's going to be running, etc. But clearly, some people never got that message because there has been a lot of discussion floating around out there about who is going to send whom to run in that by-election. So people within the PLP seem to be lobbying to be selected, even though the party leadership has said otherwise. And then you have people within the constituency who are saying, don't make the mistake and send us somebody who we don't want. Give us who we want. Otherwise, you could be in for a rude awakening. Keep in mind that that constituency is made up of two communities on two different islands. So you've got the Bimini aspect of the constituency.
You got
and
more
then
like
you've
six.
Say that again?
You have more like six communities.
Six communities. Well, you know, Bimini is one
I
island.
know. I know. We like to say West Grand Bahama, but in when you get to West Grand Bahama, you got Seagrave, you got this one, Pinedale, you got all of those are separate, isolated communities. Even though we look at them as one, just like saying Carmichael and Bainstown are one and the same. Those are also
Guess who's here?
almost any constituencies.
Guess who's here? Latrae Rahming is in the house. Latrae, welcome. Now, just so you know, originally I had planned to have only you on. I'm good. How are you? I just excited that you're here. Originally we were supposed to just you on by yourself from two, because you know Seattle got what I used to call in pageantry, we used to say when a girl talking too much, she got diarrhea in her mouth. You know, Seattle could go. And so so we were gonna have you on the show by yourself, Latrae, from 2 to 3, and then give you an opportunity to go uninterrupted. And then at 3 to 4, we were gonna bring Seattle on. But I thought you were coming on for 3 o'clock. I'm excited to see you here a little earlier. So if you want me to boot Seattle, I can boot him, or if you want to go toe to toe with
No,
Seattle,
he can listen to me for the next 10 minutes. Okay.
Man, don't do
just
it.
let me just I want to make 2 points of the previous callers.
Yeah, but we have another call on the line, though, Seattle. So you got to make this real quick because you have another call on the line.
Okay, it's the trade because he seemed to be frozen, so you could clarify that. But
okay,
there's 2 things on the there's 2 things on the agenda. I kind of lose my thought just now for a moment. One is that you have the selection of the individuals for the Committee for Grand Bahama. And my concern is for the Progressive Liberal Party is the process. Because there's a constitutional mandate, first of all, for what has to happen based by the Bahamian Constitution. Secondly, the PLP has a constitution and their candidacy selection process. I've been talking to PLPs on the island. They're very concerned concerning that process, even though it's enunciated by the chairman of the party, a member of the committee, who is basically saying that they're setting rules that doesn't necessarily align with the process that the Progressive Liberal Party Constitution calls for, and they just want a fair opportunity. There's about 6 individuals from Grand Bahama, or 5 individuals or so from Grand Bahama, 1 from Bimini, I guess in the name of Randy Roll, if that's where he's from, and some others.
Make it quick, Seattle. We got a person on hold.
So that is the process. But I'm saying for Bahamians, if you want to understand the objective of a beautiful document, you should go read the Blueprint for Change. In fact, I invite all PLPs to read the Blueprint for Change in that respect. I'll continue after the caller. Let him go ahead.
All right, caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, Michelle. I'm calling back in reference to, just want to touch on that topic you brought up with the West End and Bimini by-election. Yes, I listened to I listened to the statement put out by the party, and it said that they were not going to deal with this until Mr. Wilscomb's funeral. And that should be respected and appreciated. And I know the simple fact that you're going to have persons who are would be saying that yes, I will accept, or I intend to run, or persons on the ground, and then you're going to have a branch if that letter is where they're saying that happened. These letters from persons in Grand Bahama stating that they endorse him, right? To me, that's disrespectful. And let this man get his flowers and have his all of the accolades that he deserves. Let him go and then deal with that election. All of these talking about rules and constitution. Oh no, this is no time for this. You understand? We have to see. My thing is, I believe on this. This has now not become about Mr. Wilscomb, please. It has come now. It's all about Mr. Gibson, and that to me should not be so. We need to deal with this the way it should be done, respectfully. Let him, and what the chairman put out and what he says is true. And persons are trying to turn this into on a different shift, but let's focus on putting this gentleman down the right way. I'll hang up on on that. Hi, Latrae.
Okay, thank you so much for calling.
Michelle, just let me say this. The problem is that we understand what these political parties want, but the Constitution of the Bahamas sets the clock. Regardless of what the parties want, the Bahamas Constitution sets the clock on what has to happen and when it has to happen. And so,
yeah, because I see somebody asking in the comments on Facebook about why it's taking so long. Y'all can't be serious. Y'all can't be serious.
Why it's taking so long for what? The election?
For the by-election. I mean, come on.
But no, I'm saying, but believe it or not, right? Let's say, for instance, if for some reason Mr. Obadiah Wilscomb's funeral is delayed until November, it doesn't stop the constitutional clock that has started.
Yeah, I get that.
Right. So whatever political party could just take the position that, okay, we're not going to do anything. That's the political party's position. That doesn't stop the constitutional aspect of what has to occur. And so I'm saying is that somehow we seem to believe that this process starts at Mr. Obadiah's funeral.
I don't think anybody believes it. I just think that people are calling for decency and order. That's what I think.
But I'm saying is that if you understand the process, you just have to understand not to merge the two. I don't think the Progressive Labour Party, the Coalition of Independents, or the Free National Movement should be penalized for making arrangements in the background for whatever it is. Now,
but the problem, C. Allen, is it ain't staying in the background. That's the problem.
But the parties, I'm saying to you, I've seen the PLP is trying to pull this back into the background, and I see the FNM is saying that they're not making anything, and the coalition. So yes, we're operating on a temperament thing, but I don't think we should blend the tribute to Mr. Obadiah Wilscomb and what is happening with the reality that is still happening legally in the background. It's just this is our culture, and we're still maturing in respect to that. And so I don't think anyone is being overtly disrespectful or they're campaigning, but a selection process still has to go on.
Some are. We have a call on the line. Now, Latrae, I want you to give this some consideration before I go to the caller, because like I said, originally my plan was to have you on by yourself. So if you want me to boot C. Allen, I could boot him.
That's okay.
Or if you want to, you make that call. You put
I got paperwork to do.
Put it in the private chat, comment what you want me to do as far as he's concerned. But we do have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Good afternoon, Ms. Malcolm. How are you doing today?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. Auntie, I guess.
Good afternoon.
Now,
go ahead,
my question is, with the by-election that's coming up, why haven't the PLP purged dead people from the voter rolls?
That isn't the PLP job. That's the parliamentary commissioner's job. Parliamentary.
Well, isn't the PLP that's in power, meaning that, so we're not looking at what we're looking at the PLP government. Why aren't you purging the dead folks from the rolls, considering that this election is so ripe for corruption? Why aren't we doing that to make sure that there's no corruption involved?
But how you know that they're not doing that? How do you know that? And again, like C. Allen said, that ain't the PLP responsibility. That's what you have a Department of Registration for. So why? How you know they ain't working on that now?
So well, I'm saying that
Well,
after
I
this,
mean, it's been from January. I mean, why haven't we haven't heard nothing or anything is being done?
well, we only to be fair, right? We've only heard since the death of Obadiah Ruscombe that we even considered that the voters registration role. Now, a better argument could make is long after this by-election. Now is the time for us to have a conversation concerning the digitization of the voters roll that ties right into our immigration, right into our citizenry role. And so this is a unique opportunity now for us to really digitize in this whole conversation of digitize this, digitize that. I'm not remember this very specifically, but I think as part of the blueprint for change, they did promise a form of digitization to immigration. To the voters roll. So these are things that we have to advocate for, and this is why we need a strong opposition, and we need a listening government. Because remember, they're not governing.
Okay.
Their blueprint for change is for us, not for them. They're governing for us, and the people who are seeking to become
Well,
government is also seeking to govern for
it's
us.
funny that you would mention immigration, considering the fact that we have a lot of people that's coming from another nationality. Do you think that they should be voting in our elections?
Only Bahamians should vote in our elections. This is what digitization does. Digitization allows an integration of our immigration database along with our citizenship database, along with our birth records database. It allows total integration of government offices. We've been trying to digitize government since 1968, since the independence started. And so if we could get digitization right, in fact, you cannot revive this economy without digitization of government and secondly, digitization of the economy. Those are two different concepts. But digitization of government gives us more freedom of information, access to data, access to information, and better decision making. But it also allows us to look at immigration for what it is. It allows us to look at the voters' role for what it is. It allows us to look at citizenry for what it is. And so these are the conversations I said that we have to Senate are having. Instead of these allegations and conspiracy theories, we could solve all of these.
Okay,
Carl,
well,
I
then,
need you to.
you've been in the government now for 2 years now. What's stopping you from doing that?
You're the man.
Except for excuses.
You're the man. You have not because you have demanded not. And so I'm saying Bahamians have a tendency of sitting and voting against something rather than making the demands now and then choosing and making a decision based on their performance on those demands. Like I said just now, you want to see a beautiful document, go read the Blueprint for Change. It's a 21st century document that enhanced building for Bridge to the Future, which was copied by the Manifesto of 2017. And then this is an enhancement of the Blueprint the Blueprint for Change is an enhancement of those two documents that actually describe wonderful possibilities that has not been yet addressed.
All right, gentlemen.
Okay,
we got to take a break.
One more question as well.
Make it quick,
What is this government doing to stop this invasion?
Well, Latrae can answer that in the next segment.
Yeah, we can take a break. Latrae Rahming is here from the Office of the Prime Minister. I originally invited him here to talk about the government's legislative agenda going forward. And that is what we're going to do. So, for those of you who are tuning in late, we were hoping to have him on the first half of the show without anybody else, so he could get a full opportunity to present the administration's position. And he advised that he was called into a meeting and said he would make it for 3 o'clock. So we're going to take this break, and then we're going to honor that commitment to have him on without any other debate per se. Now, that is not to say that you and the listening and viewing audience can't call in with your questions. I'm sure he's ready to tackle that. But when we come back, we will have a representative from the Office of the Prime Minister in the person of Latrae Rahming, and we're going to switch gears to talk about the legislative agenda. So please.
Okay, Michelle, just let me say thank you for having me on. I will listen to what Latrae has to say because I'm going to be looking forward to critiquing this on your show or on my own. So Latrae, be good, be strong, because I'm coming for it.
Thank you, C. Allen. And we're going to take this quick break. When we come back, a conversation with Latrae Rahming. Y'all are not special, I think, because I've been trying to get him on this show a long time. He finally reached. Stay with us. We'll be back after these words of our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Your body's immune system is under constant pressure from things like stress, lack of exercise, and toxins in the environment. It's crucial to be proactive and support your immune system with the nutrients it needs to function effectively. But it's often hard to get these nutrients from food alone. Introducing fast-acting Zinc Plus Immune Support by Longevity. Unlike zinc-only supplements, Zinc Plus Immune Support builds on the proven power of zinc and adds complementary nutrients to give your immune system extra support. Vitamin D helps balance the effects of zinc, while our proprietary blend of natural fruit and root extracts provides the extra help your immune system needs to work against daily stressors. And we've included Longevity's exclusive plant-derived minerals to give your body the minerals it needs, but can't get from food alone. And because Zinc Plus Immune Support is delivered in a great-tasting, sugar-free, berry-flavored lozenge, it encourages quicker absorption of all these nutrients into your body. Zinc Plus Immune Support. Zinc plus the extra support your body needs to promote a healthy immune system. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, paint, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires. Cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
It's gotten harder and harder to get your daily requirement of vital nutrients from food alone. Without additional vitamin and nutrient support, your health and well-being can suffer drastically. That's why Z-Radical was specifically formulated. It combines a blend of antioxidant-rich vitamins, minerals, and botanicals with the protective powers of fucoidan to help fill the gaps from lack of nutrients in your foods. The core of Z-Radical is fucoidan, a naturally occurring polysaccharide that helps stimulate immune reaction, protecting you against inflammation and oxidative stress. We harvest this powerful mineral-rich nutrient from brown seaweed, harvested only from the world's most pristine ocean waters to ensure the purest quality. It's then extracted using cold process technology to ensure maximum levels of bioavailability. Then we add essential vitamins that help to protect your cardiovascular and nervous systems and are crucial for optimal immune and neurological function. Z-Radical also includes a proprietary blend of delicious antioxidant-rich fruits and berries. This great-tasting combination helps your body combat free radical imbalances that can contribute to a variety of degenerative conditions like arthritis and heart disease. Z-Radical. Experience the power of fucoidan with antioxidant-rich berries, 8 essential vitamins, and more to provide you with potent health benefits. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. So here are the numbers to call if you'd like to be a part of the show. The numbers are 326-0271, 326-0271, 326-0272, 326-0272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 242-801-0271. That's 801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. If you haven't already done so, please like and share the show. Also streaming live on YouTube, but on the Global 99.5 FM channel. And you can also catch us on Cable Bahamas channel 974. Alternatively, you can download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device and check us out there. And a huge welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio. Latrae, that's your phone.
Yeah, just give me 1 second. 1 second.
Okay. All right. Go ahead and mute your mic. Yeah. Welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio. Here in New Providence, 99.5 FM on the dial. And a huge welcome to all of you who are tuned in from Grand Bahama. I understand that we have a pretty large audience on that island. Also, welcome to all of you who are tuned in from outside the through the rest of the country and outside the country as well. A huge welcome to you all. Okay, so Latrae, I have you up in the studio so we can see what you're doing. Welcome the Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister, Mr. Latrae Rahming. This is his debut appearance on GPS. And listen, I want you to think I've been inviting him a long time. I can talk with you, Mr. Latrae.
Yeah,
I was starting to feel like a stepchild with freckles and buck teeth.
Don't feel that way, man.
He finally reached you all. He finally reached. All right. So, better late than never. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Michelle. It's always great to be in your company.
All right. So, we're talking about the legislative agenda. As we all know, the House of Assembly, the new agenda, the House opened on Wednesday of last week, where we heard the speech from the throne, and then members of the lower chamber heard read for them what the new agenda entails. And so we're going to talk about that. I'm going to put on the screen right now as a way to remind our audience what the legislative plans and commitments are as outlined by the Davis administration. So they promised that we would hear more about housing, natural resources, local government, social support, and national security. So those are the 5 areas that we're going to cover during this interview with Mr. Rahming. Again, housing, national resources, local government, social support, and national security. Those are the legislative plans and commitments as outlined by the Davis administration in the opening of Parliament last week. So let's begin with housing. Affordable homes, eliminate resilience, and rent to own. Latrae, let's break that down for our audience, what that means exactly.
Well, thanks so much, Michelle. So, one of the things that the government had initially focused on once we became elected was to focus on housing, particularly in the area of Grand Bahama and Abaco and the wider Family Islands and in the Providence. We've made a lot of progress with the project called Renaissance in the Providence. We also realized that despite the government's efforts, the cost of housing to the average family is just out of reach. One of the initiatives that the government is looking to introduce and implement is the rent-to-own program. So it's a initiative program scheme to ensure that it captures a larger aspect of the paying population, particularly low-income families, so that we close the gap for persons being able to access home ownership. We do realize that the government has to accelerate this program because expanding access is critical, not only in the Providence but on the Family Islands. So there's been a number of projects in North Eleuthera, if I stand corrected. There have been a number of projects also in Abaco. So we've been focused on those initial periods. We've worked closely with through the public-private partnership model. But what we believe that will be the thing that accelerates home ownership will be the rent-to-own project, where it is a reduced price, something that the average family could afford, something that the average young professional or retiree who want to have access to home ownership, who always dream of having access to home ownership. And what we've seen as well, Shanique, is that the program itself, Michelle, sorry about that. The program in itself has been oversubscribed. I mean, oversubscribed in the sense that there's a lot of demand for the program and initiative that's being run through the BMC and the Department of Housing. And so to indicate that there's a positive response to the government policies, government realized that we have to now expand this policy so ensure that it could be in reach of more Bahamians. And so that's what we're currently doing. So I think we've made that as a carryover from our fiscal budget in June, and now it's in the government speech for the throne as a key priority as well.
How is it determined who qualifies for these homes?
Well, the BMC will have the internal mechanism based on salary scaled, whether the person is on a single salary, whether the person is doing it through marriage or someone could qualify, but I think it's a reduced rate. Of course, the BMC would have much more relaxed standards and procedures like the commercial banks. I don't have the specifics at hand, but there is an internal mechanism. I would assume that that's been done primarily through salary arrangements, the ability of the person to pay on their credit, and the reduced rate through the rent-to-own program to make sure that you capture a wide audience of persons so you don't leave where the opportunity for home ownership is not out of reach for the average Bahamian.
Now, there is a perception out there, whether it's based in reality or not, there is a perception out there. And you guys have been receiving a lot of bad press about it in terms of who is placed first as it relates to something like housing, whether or not this is going to be primarily for Bahamians or others who are not necessarily natives of the country being given priority over Bahamians. How do you respond to that?
Well, there's only one way to respond to it, Shanique. I mean,
listen, Shanique is my friend, but if you call me,
sorry. Listen to me, Michelle. I'm sorry, you gotta forgive me. I've been on show so much time.
Yeah,
Michelle, I laugh at it because it's pure political mischief. We know that these policies and programs are designed for Bahamians to only benefit Bahamians, and a requirement to access the government program is to be a Bahamian. So I mean, I know that there are those out there who find political mileage and exploiting mistruths or immigration. The government, this government policy is designed for the benefit of Bahamians, and I think nothing further for me to say beyond that. I mean, this is a program designed for Bahamians.
Are you able to tell us how many homes we're talking about in this program, or you don't have that information?
In the Renaissance project, I know that is pegged for 300 homes. I know there are currently about 60 homes being built in North Eleuthera, and then I know that they're saying that the government intends to increase that volume over the next year. But I know that in the current project with the Renaissance project, that's about 300 homes.
And it's not like a. Go ahead. Sorry.
You go ahead.
Is that like a phase one? Do you intend to roll out more homes as those are filled? Because obviously 300 is good, but it doesn't really put a dent into the real magnitude of the problem.
Absolutely not. I mean, so the 300 homes only speak to the Renaissance project. So there will be other projects outside of that particular one. And I think the one I like about the Renaissance project is that it's being approached not from the traditional way, which is to standardize single build structures. They will have an element of condominiums in it as well, which will be particularly new to the government affordable housing project and program. So I think it just bring much more offering and product offering to the buyer. So I think that's particularly interesting. We know, like I said initially, there's a huge demand for it. It means that government has to accelerate this program, the social housing program, to make sure that it is in reach for persons. There has been a change in the ministry insofar as leadership, and so I saw next week when the government debate is speech from the throne, Minister Keith Bell will speak more expansively about how the government intends to accelerate the housing program to at least begin to address the demand that exists amongst Bahamians.
Okay. All right, so that I think that covers the area of housing, and I'm going to try to pace this because it's already 21 minutes after 3, and we
Yeah.
have 4 other categories that we want to cover as well during this time. I would like to remind our audience that if you have a question, you can either, if you're watching on Facebook, you can either type the question in as a comment, or you can call into the show. The numbers to call are 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272, and the WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271. Now we have we didn't allow him to stay in the studio, but he's still gonna ask questions. Eh? We have C. Alan Johnson asking a question. The Bahamas is currently facing a lack of housing units in the range of 75,000. We need 3,000 units entering the market yearly just to stand still. Refer to the former Minister of Housing, House of Assembly contribution. How do you respond to that before
I
we
think
move on?
I think one of the things that we have to look at as well is that in order for us to really meet the demand of housing, I mean, beyond government investment, we need public-private partnership. And most of these initiatives are being done through private investment to really accelerate the pace of it. So I think to see Alan's point, the government is always looking for partners in this social endeavor, social development. Like I say, I mean, we there is a demand, and to accelerate the pace of demand is a required investment. So if you are a government that has to balance investment in the housing infrastructure, investment in resilience to climate change, and investment in healthcare, you're going to need private investment. And so I think in order for us to accelerate and make progress in the way that we want to make progress in, I think there are Bahamians with means who could invest in the sector and partner with the government.
We have a call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hi, Michelle, JT calling. I'd like to ask your guest a question, if I may.
Okay.
What's his full name? What's his full name again, please?
Latrae Rahming.
Good day, Mr. Rahming. How are you doing, sir?
How are you, JT?
Pretty good, buddy. I am a gentleman with a disability. I'm blind. I'm also a member of the National Commission for Persons with Disabilities. So I'm calling now to ask you for some clarification or expansion on the points in the speech from the throne that made reference to disability. I only can remember one of them, but I think there were 2 of them. I'd like for you to please announce both of them if you don't mind, and if you can. And then the one I'd like to ask clarification on, if you can tell us at this point, any idea as to what the increase is going to be for the benefits or the contributions that persons with disabilities now got, because I heard that clearly noted in the speech from the throne. And I'll hang up and listen to the answer, Michelle. Thank you.
Thanks for calling.
So thanks so much. I think you're referring to the part of the speech that says my government will fulfill its promise and increase in benefits for pensions, persons with disabilities, and my government will provide the much needed post-school age facilities for persons with disabilities. So outside legislation, the speech from the throne is much of it is the intent of the government, and most of these programs would have to do in consultation with the relevant stakeholders and partners. So I have not seen a specific number of increase. What I can do, I think he said that he's part of an organization, Michelle.
Yeah, he's blind, so he's
But he also says he's part of a disability group, I believe.
Yes.
What I would like to do is, when the government is in the process of building out this legislation around the disability group of Bahamians, particularly ones who benefit from the pension program, to have them a part of that conversation to make sure that whatever is given is reasonable and is respectable. So if you could just give him my contact, so I can make sure put him in place with the public service, and as we formalize the legislation, he's a part of the conversation, because most of the pieces of the speech for the throne is the intent of the government to bring the various legislations. So many of them will be in drafting form where they will require public consultation.
Okay. We have another call on the line. Caller, welcome to GPS. Caller, are you there?
Hello.
Hi, you on the air?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. My question is to Mr. Rahming. What is the national debt?
I think it exceeds $10 billion.
Can you tell me what is the national debt?
The national debt is about
Hello, can you hear me?
He's answering you, caller. Listen, please. Listen through the phone, not through whatever it is that you have turned up. Listen through the phone.
The national debt is anywhere between.
Well, I'm asking you, what's the national debt?
He's answering you, caller. If you would just listen through the phone, you will hear his answer. Okay, you got to cut him, Jason, because clearly he can't.
You there?
He can't hear us, Jason. So cut that person, please. And they can, I guess, continue to listen to the show because he is trying to respond, but clearly that person can't hear him. So go ahead and respond, Latrae.
Yeah, sorry about that. Let's call it the national debt stands anywhere between, I think, $10 billion to $11 billion.
Okay. That person is going to have to call back as to why they asked that question. But obviously they were having some technical issues because they couldn't hear us. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break.
Boy, I see why you say 2 hours.
I'm telling you, man, this 1 hour goes so quickly. I don't even know if we can get to cover the 5 areas, but we can do the best we can.
I'll come back if we don't.
Okay. All right. Let's take this break. And then when we come back, we'll look at the second item on the legislative agenda that we will have Mr. Rahming address. We're talking to Latrae Rahming from the Office of the Prime Minister, Director of Communications. And this is an opportunity for you to ask questions directly from the gentleman who represents the Davis administration. Stay with us. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors. This is GPS.
Global paradigm shift will return after this.
At Lee Air, safety is our #1 priority. Flying since 1996, we offer scheduled flights into Fresh Creek and Mangrove Key Andros and Great Harbor Key, Berry Island, twice daily, 7 days a week. Affordable charter services are also available to anywhere in the Bahamas and the Caribbean. Lee Air Charter Services. Call 225-3267, 702-7127, or 322-1317 for reservations.
Understanding your microbiome, also known as your gut ecosystem, can change everything you thought you knew about nutrition, digestion, immunity, and metabolism. Keeping your gut ecosystem healthy and balanced is essential. Ultimate Microbiome by Longevity was specifically formulated to optimize this ecosystem. It provides the advanced support your gut needs through prebiotic, probiotic, and postbiotic supplementation. Our unique blend of probiotics includes Lactobacillus and Plantarum, healthy bacteria that can help prevent harmful bacteria from taking over your gut. Increasing your gut's population of beneficial bacteria creates a more balanced gut microbiome, which has been shown to aid in weight loss, skin health, sleep, mood, and may even help with seasonal allergies. Ultimate Microbiome also promotes the production of postbiotics. Postbiotics are key to help regulate your gastrointestinal health. To enhance digestion, Digizyme Multi-Enzyme Complex, a blend of 5 specific enzymes, has been added to Ultimate Microbiome. It can help break down food so your body can better absorb nutrients. Plus, we've added our proprietary I-26 hyperimmune egg powder to aid in the elimination of disease-causing gut bacteria and help your body balance its immune response. Ultimate Microbiome, the scientific, proprietary, and holistic approach to gut health that helps optimize your body's entire gut ecosystem. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
For all your building needs, it's Carib Construction and Project Management on Gladstone Road. We build it all: schools, homes, hotels, and more, including structures requiring a Phase 3 electrical contractor. We also provide project management services. The first step towards your dream building begins at Carib Construction and Project Management. Call us at 376-1556 or 341-4466.
One of the things I love about the mailboat is their relationship with Bahamas Air. I can earn travel points on my international freight and redeem them when I fly.
For me, online shopping is easy with mailboat to U.S. addresses and regular freight delivery to Nassau. Plus, I can always prepay customs and freight, and they always notify me when my package arrives.
Yeah, a lot of people think the mailboat is just for shipping, but they also offer a safe and secure storage facility at affordable rates, all in a central, convenient location.
We also offer passenger service into Freeport multiple times per week with a seating capacity of over 450 persons. With family movies on large screens, one hot meal included, and on-board lounge for snacks and soft drinks. We're the Mailboat. We're bridging people, products, and places.
Executive Printers is your one-stop shop for all your branding and customization needs. Letterheads, envelopes, business cards, invoices, share and gift certificates, rubber stamps, vouchers, funeral programs, brochures, flyers, banners, and promotional items like mugs, water bottles, mouse pads, and key rings, all with personable service and great quality. No project is too small or too large. For great turnaround and competitive pricing, make an executive decision. Call us at 393-5011.
And we are back. Welcome back to GPS, Global Paradigm Shift on Global 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm in your company with my guest today, who is Latrae Rahming, the Director of Communications in the Office of the Prime Minister. The telephone numbers to call, 3260271, 3260271, 3260272, 3260272. The WhatsApp line for messages and calls is 8010271. That's 242-801-0271. We're streaming live on Facebook on the official Michelle Malcolm and Global 99.5 FM pages. Please like and share the show if you haven't already done so. Also coming to you live on YouTube on the Global 99.5 FM channel and on Cable Bahamas, channel 974. Alternatively, please download the Global 99.5 FM app to your smart device. You can check us out there. And a huge welcome to all of you who are tuned in by way of radio, whether it's here in New Providence, Grand Bahama, throughout the family of islands, and of course, all of you who are tuned in from outside the country. Okay, so that WhatsApp caller was having some technical issues prior to the break is back. So let's go to that call. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Malcolm. Mr. Rahming, I have a question for you. What is the national debt?
$11.8 billion.
$11.8 billion. What does our natural resources worth?
I cannot say accurately.
I'm sure you can. Okay. Let me ask you.
Okay, you asked me a question.
Since you deferred from my question, let me ask you this. With Keith Bell admitting that he was wrong and that he was committing a crime, why wasn't he fired? Why was he moved to another department when he knowingly and admittedly committed a crime?
Caller, he never admitted to committing a crime. Come on now. Let's be responsible.
He never admitted it, but knowing that he did commit a crime, why wasn't he fired and instead moved to another department?
What crime did he commit, caller? What crime are you referring to?
The crime of giving away our citizenship unorthodoxly or whatever.
Okay. I want to thank you for calling because there has been no record of a crime being committed by Mr. Bell. Now, he himself said that what he did was unorthodox, but that does not translate criminal. We have to be very careful and responsible with I keep telling y'all, I open the show to y'all, but I ain't gonna let y'all cause me get sued.
But I think what goes beyond that, Michelle, is that I think that some persons aren't really interested in a truthful conversation about our country's national development or current affairs issues. The caller asked me, what is the value of the country's national resources? My response is, I can't accurately say. His assumption is I'm deferring the answer because I don't want to tell people. I don't accurately know the value of the country's natural resources. I can go as far as saying that I'm sure that it has a lot of significance to it, but no one has ever quantified it. And so how me, in my capacity as Director of Communication for the Office of the Prime Minister, could say a number that I cannot accurately confirm? It would both be.
That being said, I want the caller to understand that the carbon credits that is receiving so much attention right now is but one of our natural resources in this country. So, to say what is the value of the natural resources, the carbon credits is only but one aspect of that.
But I think, and this is a conversation that we need to have, Michelle, next time I come on the show, to speak specifically about the issue of carbon credits. Okay. Because there's a lot of things swirling out there in the environment. There's a lot of persons who are perpetrating those mistruths. I think that we need to have an honest conversation on how it works, how it's quantified, and how the Bahamian people benefit from it.
Now you understand why I've been trying to get you on for the longest time, right?
Yeah, no, I sorry, my apologies. I come in, and I think that's something that we need to talk about a full 2 hours. And I would be open to having persons who are from our office, who have the background and expertise, talk about carbon credits, right?
I will tell you, I've been getting a lot of requests to do a show specifically on carbon credits. We did do one, but obviously that was not enough time to cover the effects.
You want to do like a week series on carbon credits where I could bring in different persons to talk about it, and we could take it chapter to chapter to chapter?
I will speak to you after the show so we can plan something for next week. This Thursday does not work for me because obviously it's the day of the service for the late Obi Wishcombe. I've been asked by another station to co-host the funeral service for television. So this Thursday won't be good for us to try to do it then. But next week we can plan a series of shows where we look at this once and for all, where we can get not just persons from within who you bring to the table, but others as well who have dissenting voices, so we can have a back and forth real debate. And this is not to be a debate that's going to be based on emotion and propaganda, but facts.
But before we transition to the next topic, I just want the callers to understand the government of the Bahamas do not set the rules on how proceeds and revenue from carbon credits are spent. There is a rule set into international standards on how carbon credits and the proceeds from carbon credits could be spent.
Okay, we're going to talk all about that when we next week. We're going to plan some shows because it's really overdue. Now, let's go to the next topic. It's already 3:39, so clearly we ain't gonna get through all 5 of these today. The next one, lo and behold, is natural resources. Because that caller jumped the gun. So the next item on the legislative plans and commitments as outlaid by the Davis administration last week is natural resources, environmental protection, mining, regulation, and what does that last thing say? Land?
Yeah, land.
Okay, so this is a hot topic right now.
So
it's a very, very hot topic right now. A lot of people are very incensed by what appears to be the trend that is happening as it relates to not just carbon credits, but housing, land. All of that is now very concerning for a lot of people as to the direction that they believe that this is heading in. So based on the government's, based on the Davis administration's legislative plan, what can you tell us as it relates to the natural resources of this country?
So it says that my government will propose legislation to regulate mining to provide a proper framework to prevent the unlawful exploitation of our natural resources, and will provide a defined royalty framework that Bahamians can benefit from, right? Mm-hmm. It says my government will also propose a national forest bill that will be the regulatory framework to support the environmental sustainability. The government will propose the establishment of the Bahamas Wildlife Enforcement Network. That will establish an armed law enforcement agency dedicated to enforcing all laws with regards to our national resources. Then it goes and says that my government will also bring regulations under the Environmental Planning and Protection Act. Also, now this is a big piece I think that they are going to really be proud of. And they've been working over the last 2 years to deal with the issue of land registration. And so it said my government will bring the appropriate legislation to deal with land registration and other disputes. Another part of the speech from the throne is the government is legislating by law public access to all beaches, that you must provide by law public access to beaches. That means Bahamians will always have rights to access the beach. So insofar as making sure that we crack down on unregulated mining in our waters or wherever they're having, insofar as that we are bringing about the necessary laws to ensure that when we do negotiate royalties for our benefits, that we maximize the benefits to Bahamians. And the beauty about legislation, that it has to happen in the sunlight of transparency. So there's nothing the government of the Bahamas can bring to Parliament that the Bahamian people won't be able to see, won't be able to influence, and won't be able to have a conversation around. So that's the beauty of legislation. That's the beauty of Parliament is designed. So all of these things the government intend to do, I think, as controversial as some of these issues may be, I think that's okay. I think that's healthy in democracies. But what, like you say, is you got to separate the emotions from what is factual, what's going to benefit the Bahamian people. I think that we need to have rational thinking around these pieces of legislation to guide it in a way that really maximize how it benefits Bahamians.
We have a question coming in from Richard Cartwright. Richard Cartwright on Facebook says, why don't they present to Parliament the report of the natural resources inventory that was supposed to be tabled to the Parliament from the previous government?
I think that I know that the previous Free National Movement had a special select committee headed by the member of Parliament for Golden Gates at the time. I don't know the status of the report. I can inquire whether the report was ever completed. And when I do come back on the show, I can speak to it. That's fair?
Fair enough. Now, I want to throw something out to you, Latrae. One of the criticisms that I've been hearing quite a bit is that, the speech from the throne, as well as what has been put forward in the House of Assembly so far as it relates to the legislative agenda, are nothing more than a list of ideas, but lacking in a plan to execute those ideas. The criticism has been, we tired of hearing, we can do this and we can do the next and we can do that, but not hearing how it's going to be done. Because quite frankly, a lot of people are very wary now of the promises that come from both the Progressive Liberal Party and the Free National Movement and any political grouping for that matter, because the idea is that we keep hearing promises, but as the old Bahamian saying goes, a promise is a coming to a fool. Yeah. So at what point will we actually hear about concrete plans to execute these ideas that are being brought forward?
So let's look at an example of crime, right? So we all agree that crime is a multifaceted issue, and the government has to deal with the issue of crime from all levels, right? So you look at it from drugs, look at it from violence, look at it from gangs, look at it from on the ground, right? So let's talk about structured plan. So our premise is that we're building on our progress, right? So when we came to office, we implemented two aspects of the Bahamas Police Force. A section of the Bahamas Police Force that focused particularly on gangs and guns, right? And that's means tracking guns that goes beyond our borders, right? So in many instances, we've been able to make significant progress on identifying the means in which guns are brought into the country, identifying the players who are bringing these guns into the country, and prosecuting them across our borders, right? So you're dealing with, okay, you got to deal with the flow of weapons inside of the borders, right? The second issue is you got to deal with how you respond to violence in our communities, right? So what the government did is something called saturation patrols, and I think everyone have seen these saturation patrol vehicles that frequently parade our areas, right? And that's to really improve the presence of police on the ground, to improve the Bahamas police force response time to those crimes, right? So you're talking about building on strategies. You got to deal with gangs at the border. You got to deal with resources on community level. What is also systemic is that we realize that the gang is making a target effort of attracting persons into their gangs from high school and in some instances in junior high, right? So there has to be much more of an integrated push through urban renewal, through school policing to identify the individuals in these schools and who's going after that, all right? So we've laid the progress insofar as how do we deal with guns coming into the country? How do we make sure that our communities are safer through saturation patrol? How do we infuse the expansion of CCTV to provide adequacy and being able to identify those who commit crimes? The biggest challenge we have now is dealing with the issue at a judiciary level. So if you look at the speech from the throne, it speaks to the expansion of persons on the Supreme Court, but the increase in judges. You've also seen the government making amendments to the anti-gang act, going after those who are associated with gangs, right? And that's been a very difficult piece of legislation. And I think that they believe that they've gotten it to a place where they could actually make good on it now, right? They're also looking at how do we reduce the amount of backlog by plea arrangement. So persons with multiple cases are now taking plea deals to reduce the amount of backlog in the system. The reason why I painted it that way, Michelle, is that most of the issues this country faces multifaceted, right? They have to be approached on different levels. So when you look at the speech from the throne, you look at the progress the government has made, and you look at the progress the government has to continue to make. And that's being able to ensure that the Supreme Court and the judiciary have the independence they need to manage themselves, giving them the increase in judges they need to get cases through, strengthening legislation to deal with persons who are associated with violent crimes and gangs. And so when you now, a lot of my personal view, a lot of this is rooted in the decay of an educational system, but that's a long-term fix. We got to deal with what's present and what is present. That means building a judiciary system that responds adequately to where we are, ensuring that police have the resources they need to fight crime, ensuring that we're working with our international partners, both whether in the United States and the Bahamas, ensure that we stop the flow of illegal weapons. Because every Bahamian can tell you, we don't produce guns. Most of the crime being committed in the Bahamas is being committed by an illegal weapon. So when I hear people say, you hear a speech from the throne, we think that there isn't a framework by the government. I just laid out comprehensively how the government is trying to deal with the issue of crime on different levels, and that's how me and my colleague was having a conversation today. We're trying to fix 30 years dated problems within a 5-year term, and no government has yet. Go ahead.
Okay, we have a call on the line, but before we go to the call, I just want to say this, that I'm not brushing over the whole question of the carbon credits. We've already determined that next week we're going to work on it, doing a series of shows on that. So to me, it doesn't make sense to go deep into that today, but we know that next week, God Spare Our Lives, we will be dealing with that in detail, okay? So let's go to the caller, and then see where we go from there. Caller, welcome to GPS.
Hey, good day, Michelle.
Hi.
Yes, good day, Mr. Rahming.
Good afternoon.
Yes, I'm calling pertaining to the self-employed people, because I know priorities be more for like government serving workers and people who got jobs and what have you. But what about self-employed people who are trying to get a low-cost home? What procedures can they go through to get a low-cost home when they are working for themselves? What procedures should they go through?
So, there's two things that one of the things that I won't, and this is not speaking directly to the caller. The challenge that have been with self-employed Bahamians is record keeping. So you could be in a business, and you could make a lot of money, but if you're not recording that income that you're bringing in, then there's no financial record that the financial institution could go by. And so the only thing they have is your word of mouth that you bring in $10,000 a month. So I would advise persons who are trying to benefit from these programs and you are self-employed to really focus on your bookkeeping, so you could be able to demonstrate to the persons that you have a steady flow of income that's been coming in over the last 6 months with your business.
Okay, let's take a quick break. On the other side of the break, I don't know what kind of attention we will be able to pay to the next category because we'll only have, the break is about 4 minutes. We'll only have like 5 minutes left in the show, which is obviously not going to be adequate time to dive into anything and really go at it. So at least we have a commitment from Mr. Rahming that he will be back. We're going to work on some shows for next week for sure. And we're going to dive deeper into this whole question of natural resources next week. I know that y'all have been asking me to do it. I started with the one show next week. Let's have some real tough questions answered, some real, varying views expressed, and let's get to the meat of this once and for all. Let's take this quick break, and on the other side, we'll see where we can go from there with regard to time. Stay with us. This is GPS. We'll be back after these words from our sponsors.
Global Paradigm Shift will return after this.
Blood sugar levels play a key role in your appetite, weight gain, and overall health. When you have a blood sugar spike, you can feel confused, dizzy, and even have increased cravings. Eating carbohydrates, sugary or fatty foods, and not exercising can all cause blood sugar spikes. But now you have help in managing blood sugar levels. Sweeties by Youngevity was designed to help support healthy blood sugar levels, so you can power through your day. It's a synergistic blend of minerals, herbs, and nutrients that have been proven to support healthy blood sugar levels. Sweeties includes chromium, an essential trace mineral that's known for its contribution to healthy blood sugar levels and improved metabolism of carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. Cinnamon bark has been included for its naturally occurring antioxidants and support of a healthy heart. And we've even added gymnema. It's been used in Ayurveda for centuries to help promote healthy blood sugar. All the ingredients in Sweeties work together to give the best support available for blood sugar control. Sweeties, the blood sugar support supplement from Youngevity that helps control cravings and manage blood sugar levels through your day. To learn more, contact your Youngevity associate.
Welcome to Sunshine Auto, the hardest place on the planet for a rims, pinch, and tires.
We are your auto superstore for rims, Lexani, Azaras, Trueform, Western, Lux, Fuel, Tracklight, Tough, Rough Racing, Velocity, Mud, All-Terrain, and low-profile tires, cars, homes, and commercial window tinting. At Sunshine Auto, we put God first and customer is king.
Blessed love.
As you age, factors like health, weight, diet, and lifestyle can all impact your bones, joints, and general mobility. Even everyday exercise can lead to wear and tear on your body. Over time, you might start to experience stiffness or pain due to damaged joints or connective tissue. Ultimate Glucogel by Youngevity was created to help you limit the effects of wear on your joints. It delivers a daily dose of collagen-rich gelatin your body needs for joint elasticity and maintenance. Ultimate Glucogel contains a 1-to-1 ratio of gelatin and glucosamine sulfate, which is a key building block of your bone matrix, cartilage, ligaments, tendons, and connective tissue. Gelatin's unique blend of amino acids not only help with muscle and joint health, but also has been shown to provide additional benefits for the brain, skin, and hair. Ultimate Glucogel. natural, optimal daily support for joint health. To learn more, contact your Longevity associate.
This is Global Radio 99.5.
And we're back. Welcome back to GPS Global Paradigm Shift on Gold 99.5 FM. Michelle Malcolm, along with my guest, Latrae Rahming, Director of Communications from the Office of the Prime Minister. And the whole role that Mr. Rahming is supposed to play on the show today is for us to look at the legislative agenda as presented to the House of Assembly last week during the opening of Parliament, to sort of break down for us what we can expect as it relates to the items that were outlined that are to be coming up in this session of the House of Assembly, and more specifically, how that will benefit the Bahamian people. We often hear about the ideas, and oftentimes we don't get a concrete plan. And many people are now, like, we don't want to just hear ideas. We want to know how. We want to know why certain things have not been done or are not being done to make sure that we, the people, benefit in the way that you say that you want us to benefit from all of these plans. So time goes by very, very quickly. We've only got 3 minutes left in the show. So clearly, my goal today was to go through the 5 areas that were outlined in the legislative agenda during the House of Assembly last week. I'll just go ahead and put them on the screen real quick for you to see. But clearly, with only 3 minutes left in the show, we're not going to be able to do anything justice if we try to look at another topic right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give Mr. Rahming an opportunity to give us his final thoughts for this particular show. And then we're going to work towards a series of shows next week that are going to dive deep into the question of the second item on this legislative agenda, which is natural resources. So make sure you are planning even from now to be in place to watch and listen to those shows, because we're going to try to make it as comprehensive as we can. But I'm only able to give you a minute now, Latrae, to give us your final thoughts, and then post-show we're going to start to arrange for those shows for next week.
I just want to say thank you for providing a platform for exchange of ideas. Sometimes democracies can be loud, they could be messy. I think for far too often in the Bahamas, rather than talk to one another, we shout over each other. I think that we need to have conversations that deal with the facts, that allows rational thinking, that we could remove emotions. I think that one of my jobs as government spokesperson is to be able to speak truthfully to the Bahamian people on what the government is doing in their name and on their behalf. I have no difficulty being held accountable. I think the Bahamian people deserve the answers, and I think as a government, we have an obligation to get those answers to them. And so when I'm available to come on and answer some of the questions on what the government is doing in their name, I'm more than happy to do so. And on complicated issues or comprehensive issues like carbon credits, I'll be open to facilitating the right persons to come on the show to have a deeper conversation about that.
Looking forward to that. I want to thank you so much for finally making it to GPS. And I know that this won't be the last time you come on. At least now you see that time goes very quickly. 2 hours sounds like a long time, but it goes by quickly. So thank you so much for appearing on the show today, and I'll be in touch afterwards, all right?
No problem at all. Okay.
All right, so this coming Thursday is the date that has been set for the nationally recognized service for the late Obadiah Wilchcombe. And again, we want to pay our respects to his family, loved ones, as we prepare for his memorial and funeral service. And then next week, we're going to really dive into this whole question of the legislative agenda, and more specifically, the items that have been listed therein that you have all of those questions about. So again, my deepest sympathy to the family of the late Minister Obi Wilchcombe. My time is gone. It's 4 p.m. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today. And I promise you, we're going to have some really, really hot shows lined up for you for next week. Tomorrow is Wellness Wednesday, and so we're going to be looking at a matter that is of importance to your health. And then on Thursday, we'll see what happens. But like I said, I'm going to be a part of the broadcast of that funeral service. So we'll see what happens on Thursday. Until tomorrow, I'm Michelle Malcolm. Thank you so much for tuning in and making GPS a part of your afternoon. Have a good one, everybody.
Global 99.5 FM reminds our listeners that the views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the host and guests and not necessarily